moment of just saying thank you for joining me and kind of taking a moment to, reflect and pause for a second. I think that our dogs have so many lessons to teach us. I could be biased because I obviously love dogs and I'm a dog trainer, but I often find many parallels in my life when I'm working and interacting with my dogs or client dogs. And I learn something from them about myself or about life in general. And it's so crazy. I think that dogs have a very unique, specific position in our lives in that they live with us, they eat with us, they sleep with us, they nowadays pretty much go all over the place with us. Many of them do. And I think that they are reflections of pieces of ourselves. They have an incredible sense of smell. Everyone knows that dogs can smell 10,000 to 100,000 times stronger than we can. So imagine what that does in the way they perceive all of life. Now, I wanted to start this topic. I'm going to try to keep it pretty short, but with simply the first lesson that I have found from dogs, which is being here now. I think that animals in general, dogs in particular, have an uncanny ability of drawing us into the moment of now. We as humans tend to get so fixated on what happened in the past because that's how we draw our conclusions and then project into the future. But it warps our sense of understanding now, which in turn warps everything that we are doing from right now. So with dogs, I they're so in right now. They're so present. Yes, there are specific factors that can influence how, excited or not excited they may be to do something like genetics or their past situations. But that doesn't take from the fact that they're still completely present. They might be present in fear, they might be present in uncertainty due to past conditionings of something that happened in their past. But mostly, I think most of us have seen this and understand our dogs are so ready to do anything and everything all the time. They're just like, let's go. We say, let's go, take the trash out to the end of the driveway. And they're like, yes, that's the greatest thing in the world. And they're so excited. And we look at it as, oh, we have to go and do this thing. I mean, typically, right? And so I found that by simply allowing myself to be drawn into the moment with them, and even just in each of my individual moments in life, then anything that I'm creating from that particular point forward is so much more alive and so much more happy and so much more freeing and expansive. Versus if I'm anxious, why are we anxious? It's because of something that we're thinking about in the past or something we're thinking about or projecting in the future. And neither of those things actually even exist. They're just our perception of what we think is now, but it's not. Yes, there's environment, but how do we get to this environment? We got here by what the actions we chose. And yes, there's of course lots of other influencing factors such as where you're born and specific things, but I'm talking about right now as mature adults in this particular day and age. There's so much conditioning, so we can be very fearful, we can be very judgmental without even necessarily realizing it about a lot of specific things. But if we're choosing our actions from that point of fear or uncertainty or judgments which are warped because it's assuming something based off our past experiences, or again, projecting something in the future. Again, neither of those things exist. So if instead we can center ourselves and get in touch with our breathing, start to feel our senses. Let me feel the sun in my face. Let me feel the wind. Let me go touch a leaf. Let me feel how I'm sitting right now. Let me taste and actually pay attention to what I'm eating. Let me hear the sound of the birds. And if we actually give our complete focus to that, it helps bring us into now. I heard this quote that full presence means full acceptance of a specific thing. And when we're focusing on something, it brings us completely to that thing, and nothing else exists. And I don't know about you, but when I sit and I experience my senses, however I do that, even if I'm in a state of anxiousness and I'm like, oh, one thing that I'm realizing is I notice my body gets tense when I'm overthinking and I'm worrying about something in the past or the whatever. And I feel into my body and I'm like, whoa, I'm not breathing very deeply. So I try to change that. And then I'm realizing, oh, my hip flexors are tense. My stomach is tense. I'm going like this. How much energy is that taking without us even realizing that our bodies are tense? We're not actually oxygenating our bodies. Then again, anything that we're doing, we're saying, oh, I'm rushed, I have to do X, Y, and Z. We're doing it specifically from that place of tension and less energy and less focus. And inevitably, that's from a state of fear. And so anything that we're creating is from that particular state of fear. And so it's going to continue to bring whatever we're making from that state of fear to reflect what our state is. So if instead we are able to center ourselves, calm ourselves, to unclench our bodies, to get in touch with our breath, to focus on a specific odor that we can smell or a thing that we can feel, or how silly your dog looks, jumping up and down, whatever it is to bring us into now, then anything that we are stepping forward to create or to do or conversation to have or a thing to check off the checklist, whatever it is, that's going to reflect how we're feeling. And so from then, what we're actually creating in the world around us is going to be different. And so I just wanted to say all that because that seems so small and insignificant, but it's not. It means everything. So that is the conclusion of my first little memoirs of a lesson that I have learned from my dogs. And I plan on doing more of these because I think that dogs are incredible teachers. And as a dog trainer, I'm sitting here often being like, how can I train the dog or teach the people? And yes, it's my job, but at the same time, there's so much more than that. And I'm learning not just from the dogs, but also from the people that I'm teaching all the time, probably more than I think that I'm even teaching oftentimes. And to me, that's so valuable because it changes how I'm feeling more and more, little by little. And that is the point of everything. That's literally the point of everything. That's how we have our first conversation. It starts from how we're feeling, that initial point of contact, that initial intuitive feeling. It starts with putting a pen on paper, one specific point, and we start writing. Everything starts from one particular point, which is right here and right now. So the next time that you find yourself tensing up or you're feeling anxious or you're getting too in your head. Trust me, I know how that goes. My head is special. I encourage you to refocus first on your breath, because breath for me is the bridge between all of reality, this physical dimension, and my emotions and my internal state, and that helps to bridge and close that gap between the two, so that my perception can actually be a lot more real, but from a particular point, a particular state where I'm feeling good and whole, I'm feeling centered, and then I'm gonna take my first step. And imagine if we did that for as many times as we could catch ourselves feeling this tension, and we went through that process and we breathed and we tuned into the sounds of the birds and we pet our dog and we just focused on right now. Imagine if we did that for another month, for a couple of months, for a year, for 5 years, and every single time, instead of reacting from this anxious tight place of future or past and this warped perception of now, imagine if instead we started to take that step, and then that next step from that particular point of centeredness 1 year from now, 5 years from now. Can you imagine your life is going to look completely different? It doesn't mean that it's going to always be that easy, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to be that clear, and it doesn't mean that you're going to instinctively just get the how can I do this difficult thing or situation or deal with this. But if we're coming from that state of mind, then anything that we're creating is going to reflect that. So I don't know about you, but I'd rather come from that state of mind. Thank you guys for joining me.